The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Laguna is holding its ceremonial vaccination of essential workers for the A4 priority sector at the Laguna Technopark today. Greg Gregorio is now joining us live from Santa Rosa, Laguna to give us the latest on this. Greg, good afternoon. Could you tell us which officials are present at today's ceremonial vaccination?
Charles Presidential Spokesman Harry Roque graced today's ceremonial inoculation of Laguna Technopark workers. During the event, Roque highlighted that the government is addressing the country's total health, even as Bloomberg has recently ranked Philippines second to the lowest when it comes to COVID-19 resilience of 53 countries. 600 workers from the Laguna Technopark will be inoculated today. Secretary Roque said this is part of the administration's measures to protect essential workers. He added that the government's COVID-19 response does not only intend to reduce COVID-19 cases, but also to prevent hunger among citizens. This ceremonial inoculation is also in tune with the region's ramped-up measures to address the increase in cases that was observed in Laguna during the recent weeks. Santa Rosa Mayor Arlene Arcillas attributes their monitored increase in cases to the transmissions happening in workplaces and when workers go back to their households. The Health Department's Calabarzon office says the surge in cases can also be because of their heightened contact tracing efforts. With this, National Task Force Deputy Chief Implementer Vince Dizon assured continuous allocation of vaccines to the city and other industrial areas as the government expects the arrival of about 10 million doses of vaccines next month. Charles, Secretary Roque has also responded to the recent statement of Senator Manny Pacquiao regarding allegations of corruption in the Department of Health. Roque, he said, this has been explained by the cabinet secretaries during the recent Senate inquiry. Charles?
Thanks for that, Greg. That was Greg Gregorio reporting live from Santa Rosa in Laguna. Moderna says its COVID-19 vaccine produced protective antibodies that can fight the more infectious Delta variant, which is spreading in many parts of the globe. Michelle Cortez reports on Bloomberg Daybreak, Australia.
Michelle, this is obviously very good news, but just how bad is this new variant, and are people paying enough attention to how it could really derail the recovery?
Well, as you point out, we are already seeing the Delta variant cause all kinds of havoc in the UK, which was hit really hard by the Alpha variant as well, the first one to emerge there. So we know that you can get wave after wave of coronavirus infection that is driven by these new variants that are more infectious. The good news is that the vaccines at this point do appear to provide protection against these new variants, and they're particularly effective against the most severe cases of infection, those that require hospitalizations or put you at increased risk for dying. But the bottom line is that we do not want to have this virus continuing to circulate. And as long as we have people who are unvaccinated and vulnerable, we will have this virus circulating. People who get it can get sick, they can die, and there can be breakthrough infections in people who are vaccinated, and most worrisome, the variant can continue to mutate and come up with something that's even more devastating. So it's something we all need to be paying more attention to.
At least it seems that the global vaccine rollout is chugging along. We're talking about 3 billion doses of COVID vaccines being administered already.
Exactly. And the point is that the vaccines are not being allocated evenly. We're seeing that not only across areas where there's plenty of vaccines, such as the United States, but of course across the entire world. In some cases, like in Australia, for example, there's plenty of vaccine available, but not a lot of people are willing or wanting to get it. In the U.S., we're seeing the same situation, but there's many other places where they can't get the vaccine that they want. India just approved Moderna's mRNA vaccine just recently, so they're trying to really accelerate their vaccination process because, of course, again, the only thing that's going to get us out of it in the long term are these vaccinations. And then as we get more data, we are seeing again and again that additional shots, if you get a booster shot, a third shot, or perhaps a dose that's different from the original vaccine you got, that can increase your protection even further.
We'll be back with more stories after a quick break. Keep it here. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. San Juan City has started rolling out its first supply of the Moderna vaccine just 3 days after the first shipment of the US-made shot arrived in the country. To give us details, we have JC Cosico. He's reporting to us live from San Juan. JC, good afternoon. Could you tell us which specific vaccination sites in the city are Moderna shots available?
Charles, the city of San Juan has begun the inoculation of US-made COVID-19 vaccine Moderna here at the Phil Oil Flying V Center. The city received over 1,000 jabs from the national government, enough to inoculate 900 residents. The city's Moderna supply was delivered on Tuesday night at the arena and will be dispensed to individuals under the A1 to A5 categories. Among those who received the jabs today are OFWs bound to Saudi Arabia, as it is a requirement for them. Recall that over the weekend, the country received its first shipment of Moderna, the fifth brand to be used in the government's COVID-19 immunization drive. Mayor Francis Zamora says they rented ultra-low freezers for its storage requirement of -25 to -15 degrees Celsius. So far, 82% of the city's target population of over 85,000 to achieve herd immunity have received their first dose. The LGU is also looking to achieve herd immunity by the end of August. San Juan is also hiring additional 200 health workers to ease the burden of their existing 400-member vaccination teams. Zamora says that this move will lighten their load and avoid jab misadministration. Charles, the LGU is also set to open its third vaccination site next week, and they're also eyeing to increase their daily output to around 4,000 to 5,000. Back to you.
Thanks for that, JC. That was JC Cosico reporting live from San Juan. Here are some vaccine-related developments we're following around the world. Brazil is suspending its $324 million COVID vaccine deal with India's Bharat Biotech. This comes after several whistleblowers went public and alleged irregularities in the said contract. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has already denied the allegations, but the country's health minister vowed to look into this matter during the suspension. Kenya is set to receive its first batch of Johnson & Johnson shots in August to help accelerate its vaccination drive. This comes after the Kenyan government struck a deal to procure 13 million shots from J&J, and as of now, only 1 million Kenyans out of 47 million have been vaccinated against COVID-19, while only 300,000 of them are fully vaccinated. And Cuba has started clinical trials for a potential COVID vaccine for kids aged 3 to 11 years old. A group of 25 children participated in the study to test the efficacy of the vaccine called Soberana 2, the Juan Manuel Marquez Pediatric Hospital in Havana. The clinical trial first started with teenagers aged 12 to 18 about 15 days ago. And because of the favorable results of the initial trial, researchers continued on with younger participants. Researchers from Oxford say a third booster shot of the Astrazeneca vaccine produces a strong immune response. The Oxford study found that a third dose of the vaccine increases antibody and T-cell immune responses. Meanwhile, the second dose can be delayed by up to 45 weeks and can also lead to an enhanced immune response. The British government says it is eyeing to launch a booster vaccine campaign, with 3/5 of adults already having received both doses of a COVID vaccine. However, Oxford says there's still no evidence that booster shots are actually necessary in light of vaccine shortages in some countries.
The data that we're presenting today suggests that we could use this vaccine in a booster campaign if it was needed. And I'm not convinced that we have the evidence yet that it is needed. What we're seeing is real-world effectiveness data against some variants of concern that are pretty scary, that are demonstrating that these vaccines are working really well.
And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us later at 1 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.